Hello gays. Do you know why worldwide most people hate USA? Why the USA, a powerhouse of innovation and freedom, faces criticism and resentment from various corners of the globe. An intriguing question that leads us into the complex web of global perceptions about America. Anti-American sentiment isn't a monolith. Rather, it's a multifaceted phenomenon shaped by a myriad of political, economic, and cultural factors. This sentiment can range from mild disapproval to profound hostility, and it varies greatly from one region to another. The United States has been seen as a symbol of opportunity and freedom, but its foreign policies, military interventions, and economic practices have often been perceived as overbearing or self-serving, contributing to feelings of distrust and antipathy. Moreover, American cultural dominance, often referred to as cultural imperialism, can lead to a backlash in countries striving to preserve their own cultural identities against the pervasive influence of American music, movies, and consumer products. Stay tuned as we delve into the intricacies of international relations and perceptions. To understand the present, one must first explore the past. Diving back into the annals of history, the United States has more than once been a key player in shaping global politics, often in ways that have sown seeds of discontent across various continents. The imprint of American foreign policy, particularly through its military interventions and political maneuvers during the Cold War, has left a lasting legacy of distrust and resentment. Let's consider the Vietnam War, a conflict that raged from the late 1950s to the mid-70s. It was framed by the US as a necessary battle against the spread of communism. But the extensive military action devastated Vietnam and deeply affected neighboring countries. The use of chemical agents like Agent Orange not only caused immediate, widespread suffering, but also left a long-term environmental and health crisis. This military intervention is often cited as a prime example of America prioritizing its ideological goals over the sovereignty and welfare of other nations. Moving to the Middle East, the US involvement in Iraq and Afghanistan in the early 21st century further exemplifies this pattern. The invasion of Iraq in 2003, under the pretext of dismantling weapons of mass destruction, resulted in a prolonged conflict that destabilized the entire region and led to the loss of countless lives. This action was widely criticized around the world and viewed as an example of American imperialism. During the Cold War, the US strategy of supporting authoritarian regimes as a countermeasure against perceived communist threats also played a significant role. In numerous countries, the US provided military and financial support to dictatorial leaders who suppressed popular democratic movements. This policy fostered a view of the US as a nation that supports democracy and human rights selectively, only when it aligns with its own strategic interests. These historical chapters set the stage for decades of strained relationships. The consequences of these interventions and policies have not only shaped the political landscape of the affected regions, but have also influenced how people around the world perceive the United States. Nowhere is the clash between the USA and local sentiments more apparent than in the Middle East. The region's turbulent relationship with the United States is deeply rooted in a series of political and military interventions that have left a lasting imprint on the collective memory of its people. Take, for example, the 1953 coup in Iran, orchestrated by the CIA to overthrow Prime Minister Mohammad Mossadegh. This covert operation was primarily motivated by the desire to control Iran's oil reserves. The coup not only reinstated the Shah's authoritarian rule, but also marked the beginning of decades of resentment towards American interference in Iran's sovereign affairs. Similarly, the 2003 Iraq War, initiated by the United States under the pretext of dismantling weapons of mass destruction, has had profound and lasting consequences. The invasion led to the destabilization of the entire region, resulting in years of conflict and the loss of countless lives. For many Iraqis, the war is seen not as a liberation but as an occupation, fostering a sentiment of deep-seated distrust and hostility towards American policies. These interventions have not only influenced public opinion, but have also shaped governmental policies in these countries. In Iran, anti-American sentiment has been institutionalized, becoming a cornerstone of its foreign policy. The narrative of resisting American influence is used to garner public support, making it a powerful tool in the internal politics of the region. Iraq's political landscape, too, has been indelibly marked by its complex relationship with the United States. The ongoing political instability can be traced back to the power vacuum left by the overthrow of Saddam Hussein, complicating efforts to rebuild the nation and reconcile its diverse communities. The echoes of these conflicts reverberate strongly even today, in the streets of Tehran and Baghdad, in the policies of their governments, and in the memories of their people. The legacy of American intervention continues to influence perceptions and actions. This deep-seated resentment in the Middle East towards the United States serves as a poignant reminder of the complex and often painful interactions that have shaped international relations in this pivotal region of the world. Moving closer to home, let's turn our gaze to Latin America. Here, the relationship with the United States is fraught with complexities, shaped by a history of political and economic interventions. In countries like Venezuela and Cuba, US involvement has often been a source of deep-rooted tension and discontent. In Cuba, the United States has maintained a comprehensive embargo for over 6 decades. This embargo, aimed at pressuring the Cuban government towards democratization, has instead often been perceived as an act of aggression, exacerbating the hardships faced by the Cuban people. The embargo restricts economic growth and limits access to goods, casting a long shadow over daily life in Cuba. Venturing further south, US policies have also left their mark in Venezuela. The US has imposed numerous sanctions aimed at destabilizing the regimes it disapproves of, contributing to economic turmoil and public unrest. These actions are often seen not as measures of support for democracy, but as attempts to assert control over the region's oil-rich resources. The history of US involvement extends to supporting coups in countries like Chile and Argentina during the Cold War. In Chile, the US supported a coup that overthrew the democratically elected President Salvador Allende. In Argentina, similar strategies supported military regimes that suppressed political opposition through violence and repression. These interventions have left a legacy of mistrust and skepticism towards US motives in Latin America. The shadow of the northern giant looms large in Latin American political discourse. While disdain is prevalent, admiration and alliance also exist. In the complex web of international relations, several nations not only maintain but cherish their close ties with the United States. Countries like Canada, the United Kingdom and Japan stand as prime examples of such positive relationships. Starting with Canada, the bond is not just geographical but deeply economic and cultural. The United States and Canada share the world's longest undefended border, and this proximity has fostered an immense trade relationship, valued in billions of dollars annually. They collaborate on everything from energy resources to defense strategies, making their partnership a cornerstone of North American stability. Across the Atlantic, the United Kingdom maintains a special relationship with the United States, a term coined in the mid-20th century. This alliance is built on shared values, mutual interests, and a common language, which simplify diplomatic negotiations and joint military operations. The cultural exchanges between these two have also been significant, influencing aspects of daily life from entertainment to education. Turning to Asia, Japan's relationship with the United States transformed dramatically post-World War II. From occupying forces to allies, this bond has evolved into a robust strategic alliance, particularly in terms of military cooperation and economic investment. The United States is one of Japan's largest trading partners, and the security agreement between them serves as a pillar of peace in the Pacific region. Each of these relationships highlights how mutual interests and shared goals can forge strong, enduring alliances. Friendship and cooperation can often overshadow historical grievances. As our journey through global sentiments concludes, we find a world divided in its view of the United States. The reasons behind the global dislike and the admiration of the USA are as complex as they are varied. From the sands of the Middle East to the bustling cities of Latin America, the echoes of discontent stem largely from the foreign policies of the United States. These policies, often seen as intrusive or domineering, have left a mark on the nation's sovereignty and their right to self-determination. In the Middle East, for instance, long-standing military interventions and political involvements have brewed deep resentments. The perception of the United States as a meddler in regional politics, often siding with certain factions over others, has not been received warmly. This has fueled a narrative of distrust and anger towards the US, seen as an external force imposing its will. Moving westward to Latin America, the grievances shift slightly but resonate with a similar tone. Historical interventions, coups supported by US administrations, and economic policies perceived as exploitative have painted the US as a hegemonic neighbor more interested in its backyard than in genuine partnership. However, the coin indeed has another side. There are nations that not only like but deeply appreciate the United States for its contributions and alliances. These countries often cite the benefits of economic aid, defense partnerships, and cultural exchanges that have enriched their societies. The soft power of the US, characterized by its entertainment industry, technological innovations, and educational opportunities, also plays a significant role in shaping a more favorable view. Reflecting on these dynamics, one must ponder the future of international relations with the United States. Will the US adapt its foreign policies to be more inclusive and less imposing? Can it foster genuine partnerships that respect the autonomy and cultural uniqueness of other nations? Understanding these dynamics is crucial as we navigate the complexities of global diplomacy and cultural exchange. The path forward is not merely about altering policies, but about reshaping perceptions and building bridges of mutual respect and understanding. As the world evolves, so too must the roles we play within it.